Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for the preview of the XPEL 375 round 2 of the 2023 IndyCar season, ready to take place this weekend. Looking forward to it. It's been a long break between round 1 at St. Pete, which we have the report for, and I'll put a card up there so you can check out the review of that race. We obviously know it was a little bit of a crash fest. Hopefully these break in between races while long was a chance for the drivers to kind of calm down, regroup. Certainly can't be having that same style of racing at Texas. Have a lot worse outcome there naturally. So we kind of are taking a look through. We got the 2022 final laps here. Exciting finish to the race between the Bus Bros, Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden, and it was something we hadn't seen in Texas in a couple years, certainly since we've taken on the aero screen as far as close finishes goes. But I've always been a proponent of these types of finishes are nice when they're here and there. I never was big on the pack racing finishes because if you did it every race, it kind of loses its luster a little bit, at least in my eyes, in my opinion. Maybe you feel differently about that. Let me know in the comment section. But at any rate, great finish to last year's race. It was a really Penske-Ganassi dominated race. They took up the top 7 spots in it in the final standings, which kind of dulls it a little bit, but at the same time, they've always been kind of good at Texas. Andretti Autosport was good there for a little while. Hinch was really good there with the whole Schmidt-Peterson, then kind of the aero, start of the aero, not necessarily the aero McLaren piece. He was out, I think, before the start of that, but in the aero transition. Hinch was always good there. Graham Rahal has always been really good at Texas. He's had a lot of really good finishes at Texas over the years. So those guys, look for them to be able to have good runs. Aero McLaren has been good. Felix and Pato had good cars in last year's race, but they both had but they both made pit mistakes, which kind of shuffled them back, and they lost laps and weren't able to get them back, which was unfortunate. So I'm expecting them to be up there as well too. And then Rossi's been good at Texas in the past as well too. So I think him transitioning to aero will be good. I think the wild card, which was kind of the same thing that we were talking about in the St. Pete preview with Andretti Autosport, was did they turn it around and find their form? And clearly in St. Pete they had the pace. So it'll be interesting to see if the pace was simply just on the road street circuit side, or if it transitions to the oval side as well too, and they've found overall pace that they'll carry throughout the entire season. So that'll be pretty interesting to see. Quickly to go through some facts. The most wins at Texas Motor Speedway is Scott Dixon. He's got 5 wins there, and even last year was kind of an off year, and he finished 5th. He did have the crash with Colton Herta in the 2019 race, and even then he was running up in the top 2 or 3 when they had that incident. So Dixon's always going to be a threat at Texas. It's just probably, honestly, Dixon's a threat everywhere, so let's be real there. And then the next best is Castroneves, Power, and Joseph Newgarden, each with 2 wins apiece. For looking at active drivers that have wins there outside of the ones that we already named, Pato got his first win in the second race in 2021. Graham won in 2016. And Ed Carpenter won in 2014. So chance that we could get a new winner, but considering 4 drivers have 11 wins, it'll be pretty hard. And considering that Dixon and Joseph Newgarden are really good at Texas, you obviously have to factor them in near the top. McLaughlin's only had a couple races there, so he had 2020. Oh, he didn't have 2020. He had 2021, 2 races, and then last year's race. And he's got a second, obviously, in last year's race. And in the first race in 21, he finished second, I believe, as well. So he's had a couple really good finishes. I think he gets on with Texas. Obviously, Penske's got a good package, which helps out with all of that as well, too. So it'll be I think it'll be a good race. Like I said, unfortunately, they're going to be the big players in it. It's going to be interesting to see, can Aero get up there, can Andretti Autosport get up there and really kind of shake it up and make it a little bit more interesting of a race. with Texas, the issue of recent has been starting in 2019. For the NASCAR race, they put down what's called the PJ1 traction compound up in the high lane, kind of around mid-second groove and above. And for whatever reason, that is super slick for the Firestone tires and the Indy cars, and they have a really tough time running a second groove. So it really makes the racing, it makes it more challenging to pass, and so guys are more, they're more towards, I don't want to say blocking, because blocking is a bad way to do it, but they're more off covering their line, because if they can cover a guy's run, they can kind of save themselves, and then the guy has to try and regroup, get another run, and then have the run be better so that the person can't block their run. So they haven't put any more new PJ1 traction compound down. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and with them running they're also going to be running a practice session where they're not required, but they want them to run the high groove. So last year they did this, is where this kind of all started. Will Power begged everybody to run a high line, and I think only a handful of cars ended up running it. Well, it worked a little bit, but not as well as maybe we had hoped. Then the thought was, maybe if they got more cars to do it, it would help rubber in the higher line, the second groove for sure, and then you'd be able to at least have a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action. And as much as us fans want it to be wheel-to-wheel action for position, helping leaders get through traffic, I think, is also going to be a really big deal. Because otherwise it turns into kind of like your green flag pit stops, basically. And who can get in and out in the least amount of time is going to make up the most amount of track time. And so it turns into kind of a track position race, which is odd for, an oval race, I guess. At least an oval race in the sense of Texas, where you should be able to have a lot of passing going on. So I think in that regard, with the lap cars, I think that would help out a lot too. But naturally, it'd be really great if you can get some close action, side-by-side action, for position. And we were able to see that with Joseph's Pass to win the race last year. He had to keep it close because he could not risk getting too high, but it could be done. So we're hoping that, obviously, like I was saying, with the no new application of PJ1 traction, that maybe, just maybe, and then if they can get that higher lane rubbered in, that we'll be able to have 2 lanes of racing, and then hopefully Texas never lays down PJ1 traction compound ever again, and we can have good Texas races going forward. So those are some of the things that we're looking for. I would be curious to see the rookies, how they fare in this race. Marcus Armstrong won't be racing in this one. Takuma Sato will be taking over the 11 in the Chip Ganassi car. So Marcus Armstrong, this will be one of the races that he misses for the year. So the rookies will be Augustine Canapino, Stingray Robb, Benjamin Peterson, and Canapino has no oval experience other than I think he did a test at Texas and was just kind of blown away by it. But so I think it'll be pretty interesting on their part. I think for all 3 of them, it's just going to be about surviving, make sure they complete all the laps. I know I said that for the first race, but that's going to be the theme for their whole season. I mean, that's really what it is about, and see where everything shakes out. So, and then it'll be interesting to see where RLL shakes out in this. It seemed like they had a little bit renewed pace. Graham got a good result in St. Pete, and he's been good at Texas, so hopefully he's got a little bit of momentum, feeling high coming in here. Jack Harvey did get cleared, so he will be able to race at Texas this year. He missed last year's race because of his big crash, but also he had that crash in St. Pete and took a little long on the evaluation to make sure he was good for that. So it's good to see that Jack will be able to race there. And I think it's got the potential to be a really, really good race. We just have to see how kind of the track allows that to be. I kind of wish Texas would go back to a night race. I think obviously racing under the lights helped so much, mainly from the aesthetics, but then you're also not racing in the heat of the day. I know in the past they've dealt with the heat, and then it was basically like a tire wear race, so whoever could hang onto their tires the most usually ended up having the best shot at victory, which I don't mind those races, but at the same time, you don't want to see guys having to baby tires. I don't mind the management of tires to a certain extent, but I don't want to see guys running 195-mile-an-hour laps because they're trying everything they can to hang on to their tires, or they've pushed so hard that their tires are gone and now they've got nothing for the end of the stint. So that's more of what I don't really like to see, especially because you may not be seeing any racing then. So you're watching guys conserve tires with no racing, and that's just not appealing, I think, to most people. So that's why, me personally, I feel like going back to a night race would be super cool if they could do that, but that's not the case here. It'll be Sunday afternoon will be the race. It's a compact schedule, so they have practice 1, qualifying, and practice 2 all on Saturday, so no Friday activity. So it'll be very busy for the mechanics and the teams getting the cars turned over between the practice sessions and everything like that. But also strategy-wise, it'll be very interesting to see what teams do, especially with practice 1, because it's at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you've got qualifying in the heat of the day, and the race will be, I believe, around like 12:30 on Sunday. So it'll be similar to qualifying conditions. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see, like, what do you do? Like, you only have one practice session. You're not going to know if that's the true representation of the track, the tires, all that kind of stuff like that, to know, could you possibly start midfield or back and work your way up? Or do you need to really focus on qualifying, make sure you start up front, and then it's a track position race and you do everything you can to stay up there. So it's going to be a very, very interesting strategy-wise what teams do, and I don't think they will have a fully full picture of what that could be until they kind of get through or partially through that first practice session. So yeah, all in all, it's great to get back. I hate that long break between the first round and the second round, but good to get going here. Glad Texas is happening. Should be a fun race. Really looking forward to it. Let me know in the comment section who you are expecting to have a good race, who you think will have a good race. I guess, what are your thoughts on the seasons? I mean, and we're only one race in. I get that, but what are kind of your thoughts so far? What were your thoughts on St. Pete? All that kind of stuff like that. And then make sure also that if you are enjoying these preview videos and the post-race videos, hit the subscribe button. I certainly appreciate that. I'm enjoying doing these. I know I'm still not great at them. I'm getting better at them, kind of deal, and piecing together the dialogue that I want to do. But click the subscribe button. I really appreciate it, or the like button. Any feedback, positive or negative, I will certainly take, as again, I'm trying to get better at all this, but really enjoying it. So take care, everybody. Enjoy the XPEL 375 on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it, and we will see you for the post-race video next week. Bye.